Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone. Are you ready to live an inspired and empowered life? Join me on W4WN and Talk4TV.com on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Welcome, everybody. And it's great to have you here. Today, we will be talking about reducing relationship stress during the holidays. Are there some people in your life that you are just not looking forward to seeing during the holidays? Find out how to manage your relationship stress and live an inspired and empowered life. You will also learn 3 principles on how to boost your self-care during the holiday season to be more calm and centered. Learn how to deal effectively with difficult people and discover the number 1 mistake that would keep you from having healthier relationships. You can ask your questions and comments in the chat room. Together, let's create a life you love. I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker and intuitive breakthrough expert. And I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform lives. And the show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling, it's for educational purposes only. So let's start with stress. And what really is stress? And what does it really mean to have relationship stress? Well, first of all, stress is our body's way of protecting us. It is the natural protection that has happened from when we began as human beings. What happens, though, over time, if there's chronic stress, that it could wear on your body and it can affect you on every level. And what happens is that there are certain people in your life, and I believe every single person has at least one person that may really trigger them. I don't think that we can really go through life without being triggered. It's just not humanly possible. And then when the holidays come, there are certain people, whether they're friends or relatives, that really push your buttons. What do I mean by that? When all of a sudden you could be in a really great mood, and then all of a sudden this person walks in the house, or you walk into the house and you see this person and you're like, just seeing them gives you like that feeling. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to connect with them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to have anything to do with them. And you try to stay away from them. But of course, they come towards you. And you try to keep away, but they keep coming at you. Now, they could be a bully. They could be someone who just really triggers you by how they act or what they say or what they do. Your job is to find a way to stay calm or to get calmer, to clear your energy. So the first principle that I talk about during the holiday season is you want to find out what ways that you can do your self-care, boost your self-care during the holiday season. So I'll be talking about the 3 principles of boosting your self-care during the holiday season, how to deal more effectively with difficult people, and discover the number 1 mistake that would keep you from having healthier relationships. So you know there's somebody that's going to trigger you, or maybe you just get triggered and you're wondering, okay, what do I do? What do I do about this person or this stress? The first thing is to ask yourself, this is the first principle, asking yourself, what do you need to do to take care of yourself, to get back to a calmer, clearer place? So that's the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what can you do for that self-care, to boost the self-care? And what you need to do is to figure out what is getting triggered for you. There are reasons. People trigger you for a reason. And events, situations trigger you for a reason. So it's trying to discover what is the reason that you are getting triggered. And we have Marie in the house. Good morning. So really to look at what is getting triggered. Now, good morning, Allie. When relationships issues arise, so to understand what is getting triggered, start looking at what are the possible reasons that this person is triggering me. Are you getting triggered, and is the emotional reaction out of proportion to the situation? Now, sometimes people will trigger you and there is malintent. They are angry people, or they want to push your buttons, or there's just definitely some kind of conflict that goes on between you. But if your emotional reaction is out of proportion to the situation, then you want to understand what's getting triggered. And what I will tell you is, when your emotional reaction is out of proportion to the situation, you are getting triggered from some emotional issue from your childhood. Most likely your childhood. It could be other lifetimes or ancestral, but I'm going to tell you that most of the time it is someone's triggering you from a childhood pattern or issue. And then your job is to figure out what's the issue, what's getting triggered. So another reason why people trigger you is on an unconscious level. Okay, now you know what? It's time to do my Psych 101. So that we're all on the same page. Psych 101, you have your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is tuned into me. So thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being either live or listening to this at a later date, making that conscious decision. Conscious decisions empower you, and you make a conscious decision to be empowered. Your subconscious or unconscious are the parts of you that are reacting. You are reacting, you're behaving, you're doing things that you don't want to later regret. So your subconscious or unconscious mind is the part of you from the moment you were conceived to present time that has recorded every moment. And it can also include past lives and ancestral. And we welcome Janelle. Hello, Janelle. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for consciously choosing. And when you are being triggered, a subconscious or unconscious pattern is being triggered, most likely from childhood. So again, your job is to understand, what is this person triggering for you? And I will also let you know that what happens is when we get triggered, we are getting stressed. It stresses our body. And so it really behooves you, I never use that word, but feels like it's coming. It behooves you to really tune in to what that person is triggering. Because here's the thing. They may or may not know that you're being triggered, but you know. And if you're not doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, which is clear the energy of the trigger, understand it, and then work on clearing the pattern, really, who's the one that's ending up suffering? Who's the one who's ending up with the stuff? The other person may or may not know, but you know. And so for you, this is about taking care of yourself. Self-care. And self-care is understanding what the trigger is. Why are they triggering you? What's happening? So that then you can do something about it for yourself. Whether you ever communicate to that person or not, that doesn't even matter. You're a choice whether you choose to communicate with them. What's most important is that you understand what's being triggered and then taking an action to clear and heal the trigger. That's what's most important. Now, I'm going to ask whoever came in the comment section, if there are certain people, or if you're finding, or a certain relationship, and you don't have to be specific, obviously, you could just be more general, or if you have any questions about anything that I'm saying, or anything about relationship stress, or what comes up for you during the holidays that you'd be willing to share with us, that would be really great, because I would love to support you. And if there's any questions that you may have. So let's, and I'm going to go over some more reasons people trigger you. After I take a drink of water. And we have Sandy in the house. Good morning. Everybody's coming in. Yay. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you all, for those of you who are in the listening, who are viewing live. Really grateful for you. Those of you who I may not see right now, thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate you. And those of you who may be tuning in for the first time or have been tuning in, thank you. I just really want to express my gratitude to all of you, that I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you coming in live, and I appreciate those who are listening. Thank you. So just wanted to say that. So another thing that may be triggered when there's relationships that triggers and issues that arise in relationships is when I said all needs are not being met. Needs like, you're not feeling heard. You're not feeling seen. You're not feeling acknowledged, respected. You're not feeling good enough, valued. You're not feeling like you matter. When that happens, that's when your issues may come up and people may trigger you. Like, for example, if there's a relative that you know you're going to see or really don't want to see, but you want to be with the rest of your family, and they're just nasty or mean or disrespectful, or they don't even realize, maybe they're insensitive. Maybe they just don't even have a clue how they affect people. And that's very possible because a lot of people don't have a clue. And if you're listening to this show, you do. So thank you. Thank you for being you. So if those old energies are being triggered, and very often that's what's happening, those people are triggering you and triggering your energy. And another way that people trigger you or issues arise is if you have expectations. Oh, expectations. Now, I'll tell you, expectations are very challenging because what happens with expectations, whether you have expectations of yourself or others, it brings up energy of not meeting expectations. And if you're a perfectionist or you expect really very high standards from yourself, and then you never measure up, you're setting yourself up. And you could be setting up people that you know or that so it's really important for you to look at, do you have realistic expectations for yourself and for others? And so learning about expectations and taking a look, taking um, and acknowledging that. So that would be important. Now, another way issues get triggered during the holidays. And this happens with many clients. And it's not only during the holidays. Now, remember, I'm talking about the holidays, but the things that I'm talking about are things that happen all year long. And the holidays may heighten this, but know that this is an all year round situation. And so, if you are not setting healthy boundaries, if you're not doing the self-care and you're not taking care of yourself, and then you get mad at the other person because you're not saying no, that's on you. You may be mad at them, but your responsibility to you, to your self-care, is learning to say no. And so it's really looking at and getting clarity on where the issue really is. Is it you're not saying no, or is it your stuff getting in the way, triggering you around a certain relationship? Or is it really the other person? Now, obviously, if somebody is a bully or if somebody is inappropriate, it's pretty clear that they have behavior that is not acceptable, not appropriate. But if there is a fine line and you're not sure, then you need to look at, okay, what's going on for me? What is it that I need to look at? What are they triggering in me? So Sandy says, no, such a powerful and underused word. Well, yes, it is. No is really important. And I believe in recovery programs. I know there's this sentence. I think it's from 12-step programs, but I'm not positive. No is a complete sentence. So if anybody knows the answer to that, or knows like KNOW as opposed to NO, no, NO is a complete sentence. And that's really important. And I really want to remind you all that you have a right, that you are entitled to say no. You do not have to do or go anywhere or do anything that you don't really want to do. Now, I know also, KNOW, I know that during the holidays, obligations come up. And we're feeling like we are obligated to see a person, to go somewhere, to do something. And know that you're at choice, that you may feel obligated, but the truth of the matter is you don't have to. Now, you may choose to. You may choose to be with your family. You may choose to be with your friends. You may make the choice because your connection with your family or most of your family is more important than maybe that one person who really irritates you or triggers you. And what I do is I want to support you and empower you. By making that choice, you have empowered yourself. And making it, saying to yourself, I am now choosing to go to this family gathering. I am choosing to go to this event rather than saying, I have to. When you say, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to, that is not self-care talk. See, how we talk to ourselves is really, really important. And so when you say, I am choosing this instead of I have to, that empowers you. And if any of you want to share, how do you handle going to the holidays? Do you look forward to going to the holidays and seeing your family? How do you handle when you have someone that you may not want to see? What do you say to yourself? What's the self-talk? So if anybody would like to share that, would love to hear. And what is it that you need to say? And again, need is a word. So I'm going to replace need with choice. What do you choose to do? What do you choose to say to yourself? And yes, we all have needs that do need to be filled, but we're at choice whether we fill them or not. When the word choice is really an empowering word. So if you have learned anything today, begin to make the choice. What is it you choose to do? Now, Marie has expectations and the role we play in the family is so set for so many, and saying no is often very hard for some. Yes, that is so true. Thank you so much, Marie. Yes, that is true. You know, it is really important to say no, and no can be the hardest word to say. Because when we have family expectations, you don't want to disappoint. You don't want to disappoint those you love. You don't want to do something that may hurt someone else. And what you choose to, see, I'm changing it already. I'm changing the patterns. What you choose to say to yourself is, what is it that's going to help me in this situation? That's the first principle of boosting your self-care. What will help me in this situation? How can I change my self-talk? How can I look at this, see this in a different way so that I look forward to this event or I'm excited to see these people rather than dreading it. Something for you to think about, something for you to ponder. Marie says, I choose to go and not feel obligated. Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Yes. So making that choice is so huge. Choice empowers you. And learning to do that is crucial. And so, and that's all about the setting the boundaries. And know that our relationships are our mirrors. Our whole life is our mirror. So when something happens in your life and you're like, why is this happening? What is going on? There is a pattern for you to look at. A pattern for you to understand. And you may not have realized that this is a pattern. And now you start to look at it and you say, wow, now I understand. And relationships are no different. Our relationships mirror ourselves. So if you tend to be loving and kind to yourself, you will tend to attract more loving and kind relationships. If you are mean and critical and not really very kind or nice to yourself, you may end up attracting those kinds of people in your life. And then you're like, why are they so mean? And then you need to look at, then you can choose to look at, what is getting triggered? How am I treating myself? And a lot of us don't even look at how we're treating ourselves. We're looking at the other person, that they're being mean or that they're saying nasty things. But could it be that they're actually speaking parts of you that you don't even realize? And then there's the shadow part. How many of you know about the shadow? Now, the shadow, the way that I would define our shadow is the part of us that can be hidden. It's the part of us that usually we want to deny. We don't like to often look at our shadow. It could be the nasty part. Maybe you get angry really easily. Maybe you're a rager and you really don't like that part. Or maybe you don't rage, but you have rages in your life, like those nasty relatives you don't want to really be around because they're ragers or they're very, very angry people. How do you handle your anger? What do you do with your anger? Something for you to think about. How are you handling your anger? How are you handling yourself? And what are you saying to yourself? Sandy says, choice, such a beautiful word. It sure is. And that word choice, choosing is an empowering word. Always changing the have tos, the need tos to choice. I am choosing. It empowers you. And so when you get triggered in relationships, whether it's during the holidays or any time during the year, for you to look at, it's a message of something that needs healing in you. And that maybe this person may be showing you a shadow self, a part of you that you don't like, that you want to deny, a part of you that you push away. Like if you're a very calm person, very nice, or maybe you're too nice, and there's really hidden anger underneath. And this person is showing that you do have anger that needs to be healed. That's possible. Shadow parts are parts of us that are coming up so that we can heal it. And every single one of us has shadows. We are human beings. We cannot get through this human experience without the shadow parts. The shadow parts may be the angry part. It may be the victim part. It may be that part that's still so wounded that just needs. This is where needs really happens. Needs to be healed. And yes, you're a choice whether you choose to heal it. But and know that when you heal that part that needs healing, that's when you get back to choice. And when you start feeling more empowered and inspired to live the life of your dreams and where you want to go and what you want to do. Sandy says, I love the holidays. I overgive though, but love it. I hear her saying that. I can see that, Sandy. Yes, Sandy is a giver. And so you may be a giver. Maybe you're a very giver, and you're always giving. And here's the thing, if you love giving, God bless you. God does definitely blesses those givers. And are you giving to yourself? So, question to ask. So if you're a giver and you love giving, that is fantastic. Keep giving. And question to ask yourself, are you giving to yourself? Self-care means self-giving. And self-care and self-giving are not selfish. Do you know how many clients think that self-care, giving to yourself, taking care of yourself is selfish? No. And self-care, and this is something that I've really learned through my own experience and what I teach clients, is self-care is self-preservation. If you're not doing the self-care and self-care routines, you will end up burning out and you will not have self-preservation. Marie says, what does Marie say? Amen, Sandy. Me too. Love it. Okay. So, self-care, self-preservation. And a book that, if you are interested in understanding more about the shadow self, is a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. That's a great book on the shadow parts to help you understand and embrace, because learning to heal, learning to embrace those shadow parts are really powerful ways of healing yourself. And when you get triggered by somebody else, it may be a shadow part that needs healing. And again, I say needs. Yes, you're at choice whether you choose to heal it. But I believe that we've come into this life to heal. And the fact that you're listening to this show, thank you, because you're open, you're willing, you want to have more inspiration and empowerment. And to do that, we need to heal ourselves. And yes, you're at choice. You are always at choice whether you choose to heal yourself or not. The more you do heal, the more inspired and empowered you become. And part of that is feeling. My motto is, in order to heal, you need to feel. Yeah, need. It's important. And you can choose not to feel, but when you choose that, you will, when we shut down one feeling, We shut down all feelings. And so the more that you allow yourself to feel, feeling the fear, feeling the anger, feeling the pain, feeling the different feelings so that you can release, bring them to the light. Because even acknowledging them is bringing them to the light. And people will trigger us. And things happen so that we can heal those aspects of ourselves so that we can live a more inspired and empowered life. Marie asks, Nanci, what was that title again? Okay, the title of the book, it's a great book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie, Debbie Ford, Ford. And it's a great book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, and it talks about the shadow and healing the shadow. So something that you want to discover. And when people trigger us, it is our opportunity. You don't need to, you can choose to see it as an opportunity for healing. So let me give you an example. Patty came and during family events, she had cousins that were really, they were ignore her. They would say demeaning things. They were nasty at times. And she just really did not like being around them. And every time she was around them, it lowered her self-esteem. And yet she craved and wanted family so badly. And so what we did was we worked on healing those patterns. The patterns where they were mirroring her feelings of not feeling good about herself, not liking herself, not loving herself. And we started working on healing those patterns. Now, what happens is that when you start to heal those patterns, a couple of things may happen. Either A, relationships change. When you change, your relationships will change. And people can't treat you in the same way because you won't allow it or accept it as you change, as you heal, as you love yourself more, as you grow. And so what may happen is that you end up making the choice to either keep those relationships because now they've gotten healthier, because that's what you want, those healthier relationships, or you may choose to end if they're really toxic people, dysfunctional people, and you are getting healthier and you may have tried to communicate with them. You may have communicated with them, but it was like communicating to a brick wall. Then you may choose to end those relationships. And sometimes when there's really toxic, dysfunctional people, you need to cut those off. And again, there's that word. And for your self-preservation, your needs, because here's the thing. We don't need to do things, but we want our needs met. And if people are dysfunctional and toxic and they're hurtful, your choice, the most empowering choice you may choose, is to cut off all ties. And that's what Patty ended up doing. She knew that these women weren't going to change. And so she ended up cutting off ties with her cousins because it wasn't working for her. And that way, every holiday, she chooses to be around those that love her and respect her. And she feels better for it. She's happier for it. And that's what it's about. It's making those choices. Are there certain people in your life that are so dysfunctional and toxic? And what happens is part of, and Sandy says, I don't know, sometimes. I'm not sure what you're responding to now. Delayed reaction. So you can let us know if you have a question or what the sometimes is that you're considering or thinking about or understanding. Would love to hear. And so what to do for your self-care, and this is your self-care, is to understand, what is this person triggering for you? Is it a shadow part? Is it a little kitty part? A need that wasn't met? Maybe you don't feel seen. Maybe you don't feel heard. Maybe you don't feel respected. With Patty, her case was they were disrespectful, demeaning, abusive, hurtful. And she made a choice to empower herself, saying, no, I'm not taking that anymore. I love myself too much to be around that. And sometimes you may need to do that to take care of yourself. Self-preservation, really self-care, very, very important. And really know that ultimately the holidays are a joyful, wonderful time, and how you're being treated by others is a reflection of yourself and what you're saying to yourself. So really, to just summarize, is to really learn the first principle of this, of self-care, is to really learn and understand what is being triggered. What choices am I making? And what do I need to learn? What opportunity am I learning from this experience? And as you learn, as you heal, as you grow, as you heal yourself, as you learn to say no, to set boundaries, to do the self-care, you will find your holiday season gets better and better, because you are doing the things that really honor you and making the choices that empower you, instead of feeling like you're in obligation or feeling stressed out. And also, this is just coming to me as we start coming to an end of the show, is if you're a giver and you may be someone who does it all, you got it all, put it together, you do it all, and you don't ask for help. Maybe this holiday season you need to delegate. To delegate responsibilities, to delegate tasks. Maybe it's about doing a potluck instead of having to make the whole dinner. Every part of the dinner. Allow yourself, givers out there, allow yourself to be helped, to be supported, to be loved. And so that's what I support you all in doing. And we're going to continue this discussion next week. Reducing relationship stress, part 2. More info to follow, more principles, how to handle difficult people. And the number one mistake that you can make that would keep you from having healthier relationships. Stay tuned next week for more inspired and empowered living. We're live Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on W4WN.com, Talk4TV.com, and you can find podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, and Apple, and many other podcast sites. And I wish you all an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Goodbye for now.